What's all this then? We're back, ladies and gentlemen, with another art gear review, and today we've got some Decocolor paint markers. Actually, we got a lot of Decocolor paint markers. We got two different types. We got some acrylic paints and we got some oil-based paints. I'm going to go through and show you what's different about them, what's the same about them, what's good about them, what's bad about them, which ones you should buy, why you should buy them, things you could use them on, things you can't use them on, all that good stuff starting now. Now, what are these things and why do I care, you ask me? Well, these things are markers, which we all know and love, but instead of being filled with ink, they're filled with paint. And we got two different types. So the acrylic-based paint is water-based paint in here, which is nice, and the oil-based ones is oil-based paint in here, which is nice also. Basically, the structure of the markers is the same for both of them. We have a long tube-like structure here. These big acrylic ones actually have a nice chisel tip where the paint comes out, which is really just a sponge. If I could pull this out here, it's just a little tough, stiff sponge, and when you squeeze it, paint comes out and the like. As far as construction, what makes these different, the acrylic ones come in a plastic tube. These are a lot thicker, but that's because they have a chisel tip. This, I think, is the broadest tip, perhaps, that the oil-based ones come in, and that's just a nice round broad tip there. This is like a aluminum holder here, and this is plastic. They have a little ball inside that rolls up and mixes up the paint. Oh, one more thing. Because these are water-based and these are oil-based, these are actually thinned down with something called xylene. And I Google searched, this is how I Google search, that's just basically a paint thinner. And apparently it's used in dry erase markers a lot, so if it smells like dry erase marker, it's because they're thinned out with the same stuff. So these, take note, do smell. These do not. So I have three different sets here. For the acrylics I have, this is their primary set. This is their, bold color set or something or another. And this is their metallic color set. So these are the oil-based sets that Marvio Cheeto was also so nice to send me. They sent me two different color types. This is their primary set, but they also sent me in these three different tips. So this will be their super fine tip, that there be their super fine tip, which is super fine. It's probably like the extra fine tip that you find on the Sharpies. This be here, the regular broad tip, which is broad, a little bit wider with their extra broad tip. So it's nice to have three different sizes for these oil-based ones. The only thing here being that these pastel colors, I haven't really found much use for them because I think that they're very Eastery looking. I don't know if I would purchase them myself. I think I would stick to these primary sets, maybe other colors that I would buy individually, because these are probably where it's at and what you need. This is a kind of other strange sort of color scheme that I don't know if I use very often in my stuff. Now, one notable difference besides what they're made out of is that these paints are kind of recommended for different types of surfaces. The acrylic paint is recommended for wood, plaster statues, foam projects, walls, paper crafts, and terracotta, which to me just translates to stuff that's porous, so nothing too slick. And there's a reason for that, and you'll see in the surface tests. These are rated for glass, porcelain, stone, metal, and wood. So stuff that's a little bit slicker, it'll stick a little bit easier with the oil-based paint markers. Let's move on to our surface tests. So I did a number of different surface tests just so you can see what they look like. So first and foremost, paper. First we got our acrylics here, and I'll bring this up nice and close here. What you may or may not notice in the camera, if the camera picks this up, is that typically the acrylics are a little bit more of a bold color. Oils are a little bit sometimes just like a shade lighter than the acrylics at the same color. So here's our acrylic, here's our oil. Always make a line underneath to see how it works when you work quickly. So you see that the oil sometimes kind of fades out, almost like it dries up, like it doesn't flow as smoothly. You'll notice that in all the tests. It doesn't flow as smoothly as the acrylic does. So here's the paper test. Next we got cardboard. This one was a dramatic difference. Remember that the acrylic was rated more typically for porous materials and the oil was not, more for slick materials. So keep that in mind as you're seeing this. But check this out, way more opaque. Very see-through, so the oil wasn't very nice with this one. The bottom's also drawn with acrylic, so you can see just how much brighter it is. Next, wood. So these were both rated for wood. You see that they both turn out pretty opaque. Again, I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but I'm going to have to mention the blue for the oil looks just slightly lighter than the blue for the acrylic. If I was using painting terms, I would say this was more of a cerulean, and this is more of a cobalt. They're both blue, they're both very bright and very intense, they're just different temperatures of it. Last but not least, we have a glass test. So remember that the oil is rated for slick surfaces, the acrylic was not. So this one, our oil came out a lot more opaque. Also notice that the acrylic smudged. I did that on purpose because it doesn't dry fast. It doesn't dry as fast as the oil, so the oil did not smudge. It's a little sticky, but it doesn't smudge on the smooth surfaces, so definitely would rate the oil for the smooth stuff. So overall, I think these were really cool. This was actually my first time playing with these and messing with these, and so I want to make sure I thank Marvy Uchida, who was nice enough to send me these out for review so I could talk about them to you guys and you could see the differences. Who would I recommend these for? Let's say you're a street artist and you're making paintings on a lot of different types of surfaces. I would have to recommend these chisel tip ones, these nice acrylic ones. So not just because they're chisel tip you'll get a nice bolder line, but because they seem to work the best on a lot of different types of materials, unless you're working on glass or any sort of slicker surfaces like that, but usually these acrylic ones seemed a little bit better. So let's say you're a teacher and you want to get these for your school classroom. If you're going to buy sets of these for a classroom, you'd have to go with the acrylics. Not only will you get, I feel like you'd get more bang for your buck and they'd work on surfaces a little bit better, but these, because they're filled with xylene, stink. And if I had a classroom full of 30 kids or so, I do not want all of them using this and filling up my classroom with that xylene smell, because it's going to hurt their brain cells and it's going to hurt my brain cells. So you got to have them working on these acrylic ones. Even if it ends up being slightly more expensive to get the acrylic ones, that's what you go for, because it's a lot safer and it's not going to kill any brain cells. That's the opposite of what we want in the classroom. Overall though, both of these sets turned out to be really nice, whether the oil paints or the acrylic based ones. I really like them both. I think I'm going to try to find more stuff to use them. One benefit I think about these oil ones is that I'm pretty sure, and I'm going to try this, and if I'm wrong that's too bad, I'm pretty sure I can use these over an existing oil painting. So let's say I'm done painting it and I want to add some extra flair to it. I'm probably going to try to use these and see what happens. I couldn't do that with the water-based ones. So overall, check these types of markers out if you've been thinking about it. If you use a lot of bold colors and stuff, check these out. These are pretty cool. Hopefully this review helped. I just want to say thank you again to Uchida for sending these out. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I missed anything or if there's any other brands that you think might be differently.